This pot was made because I was offered a scholarship at Arrowmont to fire the Anagama. I had no idea what Anagama meant, but I knew I didn't want to go back to Indiana.
Now, I've grown up in East Tennessee. I came to Gatlinburg as a kid all the time. In fact, my grandparents lived here. Never knew Arrowmont was here on the Strip.
How do you find out about craft schools? Today, it's so easy, but those days it was just through word of mouth or an ad in a periodical.
I was an undergraduate student at the University of Tennessee. I was in drawing, but I wasn't happy being a drawing major. I was really jealous. I always said I had sculpture envy, and that's when Bill Griffith and David Willard came down to talk about the school.
So I called my university professor. He said, "Oh, you should go to a craft school like Arrowmont." And I came to Arrowmont. After that first week, Sandra Blaine offered me a scholarship to stay.
Got a scholarship, came up here as a student, and from there I was hooked.
86, I reapplied to be a studio assistant again and was accepted. And in 1987, I was asked to apply to be the assistant director of Arrowmont, and I did.
I came back the following year as a work study. I came back the following year as a paying student. I came back in 2005 as a studio assistant. And by that point, I have taken enough fiber classes to be able to have a portfolio. Went to Arizona State, got my MFA in fibers, came back to the area, taught here twice, and then became a full-time team member in 2012.
Schools like Arrowmont give you permission to be yourself artistically. It gives you permission to try things that are different.
You will discover things about yourself and the medium that you work in that you can't predict in like a really lovely way.
Seeing things through other people's eyes and seeing what other practices there are going on around you makes you expand.
I got to deepen relationships with a lot of other figure artists that I still have today, years later.
You hear that so often where people come for the first time and the question then becomes, well, how can I come back more often? How can I find a way to come back more often?
People come here from all over the country, and a lot of those people are younger people, like students who are early in their career who might not be able to necessarily afford it. And so being able to do a work study, being able to do an assistantship or an internship or get a scholarship for a class is like a foot in the door in a way that could be like trajectory changing.
Because I was a teacher, I knew the value in young students or of all ages experience hands-on working with materials. And Arrowmont had all the studios. Can you imagine working in the wood studio on a lathe in the 5th grade and how that could impact your life, which is amazing, and it reaches several states that are labeled Appalachia in that region. It's so wonderful to see that program not only still functioning at Arrowmont in its original, but also expanding now.
Arrowmont is so much more than just our national workshops, which we touch a lot of lives that way, but it's also providing K through 12 education. It is having artwork on display for not only our students, but the community, for helping that artist have their first exhibition, helping an artist teach for the first time. If anybody's been to Arrowmont before, if anybody's had the experience of being a student or an instructor, it's left an impressionable memory on them. Being able to give that opportunity to somebody else is a really critical part of what we do creatively.
What starts here starts with your generosity. Give today.